What is up, guys? It's me, the ALE double X Prince. And it's been 1 year of Dynamite. I saw the anniversary show. I was actually supposed to upload this right after AEW Dynamite, but for those of you who watched, knew that Stephen King's It was coming out right after Dynamite, and I said, "Fuck it, I'll watch it." So I watched it, and it was not as good as on TV as it is like on Blu-ray or home to video because TV has this habit of editing parts out and stuff like that. But I still watched it and had and enjoyed it. So up to um talk about um I decided to do kind of like a 10 things I want to see in the upcoming year of Dynamite. There's some stuff that I really enjoyed. There's some stuff that has just been incredibly just awful. Like, I mean, we'll get into some of the things, but I think for the most part, AEW Dynamite and AEW in general has done a pretty good job. Even with the pandemic, they have tried their best to make wrestling as entertaining as possible. So let's hope that once we get a crowd, we're gonna see where AEW goes. And hopefully, you know, it all works for the better. But here are 10 things I want to see in the upcoming year. So 10 things I want to see in the upcoming year of AEW or AEW in general. Yeah. Number 10. This one is number 10 just because it's not a big deal for me, but I want a stronger women's division. I was gonna say a better women's division, but I think a stronger women's division makes more sense. If you need to hire some people, go right ahead. Like I thought them getting Thunder Rosa was great, but you could tell that they were desperate for a legit women to beat them. Like the fact that Britt Baker is not even the champion and she's more relevant than Hikaru Shida is not good. We should have more like legit contenders fighting Hikaru Shida. And if you can't have a legit contender, build some up. Um, I know they wanted to do Awesome Kong, but she was doing something. I kind of didn't like Awesome Kong being signed because I mean it's good for get the word out because she's in Glow, but I didn't really think she was necessary considering we had Nyla Rose. So Nyla Rose and Awesome Kong at the same time, it's kind of like overkill with the big women. But some people I would definitely love to see is like Tessa Blanchard versus Hikaru Shida, or I don't know. I want to see like some other names in here. I mean, they're doing a great job with Big Swole. Uh, Abandon, I believe that was her name. The crazy one with like all red, like looks like a zombie. Like she is freaking awesome. Um, if we have a solid male division and a phenomenal tag team division, I think we just need to work on the tag team division just a little bit. So, um, uh, Abaddon, that's her name. But yeah, those are some ideas. Um, Number 9, uh, work with the talent you got without constantly relying on free agents. I kind of already said that we need to hire more women that are more eligible to compete, but there's a lot of people I think we should get rid of, and or use them better. Like Joey Janela, he went from having one of the best unsanctioned matches with John Moxley. Um, he beat Kenny Omega on AEW Dark, which is probably the best moment of his entire life. But where's Joey Janela now? I mean, it'd be nice to build him up. Now he's in a tag team with Sonny Kiss. Give me a break. We do have a lot of like junk in the freaking department. In the roster, there's like a lot of like um, garbage like Leva Bates, the librarian. Um, We have. I never was a big fan of Ricky Starks. I mean, I like that he's in a he's kind of like forming a bond with Taz and Brian Cage, but he just kind of looks like a weird generic like whatever guy. Like guys like the Butcher and the Blade get away with it because they're a character and they're actually entertaining. They're like a bigger, like more badass version of the Vaudevillains. If you think about it, that's what I see when I see Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. Um, but yeah, I'm tired of them constantly hiring people that they're not gonna use. Like what happened to Zack Ryder? Just like a second ago, he was like, hell, he was even at All In, and now he's just like nowhere to be seen. Like, hello, why'd you bring him if you weren't really gonna use him? They're also dropping the ball with a lot of people such as Jack Evans and Helico. Like Angelico is incredibly underrated. I think he's not no longer in the card, like in the roster. Nope, he's here. I'm looking at the card right now. Yeah, he's still part of Hybrid 2-0. But I don't know what the hell happened to those two. I mean, I've seen one of them in AEW Dark, but I don't see them like constantly like using them that much. And then you still got guys that they're constantly hiring just to get back at WWE, like Miro or Rusev. And we'll get to him more in a second. But there's a lot of guys that they're not really using, like Michael Nakazawa. They just fired Jimmy Havoc, who, let me just say, they dropped the ball with Jimmy Havoc. I understand he's going through a lot, so I can see why, but Jimmy Havoc deserved better in the beginning, in the early stages of AEW. Number 8, upcoming talents getting more of the spotlight. So I'm enjoying that they're using their top guys such as the Elite, Chris Jericho, MJF, Pac when he was there. Unfortunately, he's stuck due to the pandemic. But I'm enjoying the fact that they are using those guys and like to help build up, more of a expanding audience. But I think it's time to trust some of these guys. Like I know people who are asking me, people who know I'm a wrestling fan will like ask me about MJF or Darby Allen. Like Darby Allen just blew people out of the water. Like Darby Allen was one of those people that nobody knew really who they were until they watched AEW. So I want to see him more on the spotlight. I want to see MJF, and I definitely want to see some more Orange Cassidy. I think Orange Cassidy could die down the road, but he's doing a great job of just keeping himself relevant. I wasn't big on him beating Chris Jericho at All In. I personally thought it should have been Jericho wins the match, and then Orange Cassidy throws him in the juice champagne water. I rather would have seen that, but the towns that they are building, I want to see them more on the spotlight. None of this like cookie cutter, like, oh, let's build them 1 second and they're kind of like irrelevant. Like I'm afraid that Lance Archer, he went from the best story with Cody to doing nothing, winning a battle royal, and then now he lost to John Moxley. I'm afraid that Lance Archer is gonna be somewhere lost, and which sucks because Lance Archer has honestly been one of my favorite characters. Especially when you put him with Jake the Snake Roberts, one of the greatest promoists in this in any fucking century. Like if you put one of the best promoists in the world, Jake the Snake Roberts better be in the top 10. Number 7, long term booking. Now they're working on this. They're actually like slowly building up to a Kenny Omega heel turn. But there's times where they just kind of drop storylines. Like we never got to see Broken Matt Hardy versus Chris Jericho. We didn't get to see a legit culmination to Cody Rhodes and MJF. Um, some things they just scrapped, like the Nightmare Collective, which I could live with. I hated the Nightmare Collectives. I think even they regretted putting the Nightmare Collective there. But I could definitely see more storylines. Like Brian Cage, wasn't he doing something with Darby Allin? Now Brian Cage is doing whatever, and Darby Allin's now the number one contender for the TNT Championship. Yeah, it's just pretty like annoying how they're doing that, and I just kind of wish that they stuck to a story. Like I still think we could come back to Cody Rhodes and MJF. I keep calling him Cody Rhodes. I don't care because I don't work for WWE, so I can say whatever the hell I want. But yeah, there's that. Um, So yeah, just long term booking, doing more character work. Like I really thought we should have gotten Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy at All Out, and then do Orange Cassidy versus somebody else, or hell, honestly, I would have done Chris Jericho versus Matt Hardy. Then that's when Sammy Guevara comes out, and then he screws over Matt Hardy, and then we do Sammy Guevara and Matt Hardy at Full Gear. That's how I would have done it. And then yeah, like I said, do Orange Cassidy versus somebody else, or put him in the Battle Royal. Um, Number seven. Oh no, that was number seven. Number six, the ranking system has to die. I hate the ranking system. It is so fucking annoying. They do this whole thing of wins and losses matter, but really they don't. Like this episode of Dynamite was a legit example of it. So just to kind of show you, I'm looking at the rankings. Like they just added the ranking system. But the people who are gonna be the number one contenders for the tag team match, like, is gonna be the Young Bucks, the Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, and the Dark Order. I forgot who they were, but basically two members of the Dark Order. Now let's look at the top five ranked tag teams other than FTR, the tag team champions. But Best Friends, who already got their number one contender shot, they already had a great match with FTR, which I would definitely go back and watch again. So okay, it makes sense for them to be on top, and they already fought FTR. So okay, Young Bucks. Okay, that makes sense. They're in the Fatal Four Way. The Nightmare Collective. They were not even hurt. I don't even like the Nightmare Collection. I don't know where QT Marshall came from. I personally wish Dusty Rhodes did his own thing, or he teamed up with Cody occasionally from time to time. But Dustin Rhodes could have done something on his own. He could have been a really cool like solo act. He could have been like the Sting. Like it could have been they could have done something like Chris Jericho versus Dustin Rhodes, like kind of like Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Sting. They could have done something like that. Butcher and the Blade, um, they're in the ranking, and Santana and Ortiz are Proud and Powerful. Proud and Powerful are like always like coming and going. They're 1 second they're hot, the second they're just we get just constantly stuck to the inner circle. I just want that ranking system to die because they're not taking it serious. So why should I take it serious? I just says, oh look, I got more wins than this guy, but it doesn't matter because this guy's still at the top. Like remember how annoying it was for Cody to lose and lose and lose and lose, and then he's still at the top. Like it's just fucking stupid. Just kill the ranking system. It's unnecessary. Like just write a good story and you're on with it. People will not care as long as you have a good story. I mean, hell, look at this. Johnny Gargano is like the best talent in NXT. And yes, he loses, but it's all connected to a story. You know, the best long-term book storyline for NXT was Gargano and Ciampa, so maybe they should take notes from that. That feud alone should give him some notes. I'm saying, and like I say, all of this stuff I'm saying, AEW, they just need to work on it just a little bit. Number 5. This is a very important one. Number 5, interviews and guest star appearances on other shows. So there's this thing called the Go Big Show on TNT with Snoop Dogg, Rosario Dawson. I forgot who else was in the show, but Cody Rhodes is actually on the show. So it just shows you that, you know, it's nice to see Cody Rhodes out in the spotlight. Like Chris Jericho, he recently did a Schmodown with Kevin Smith. If you guys don't know what the Schmodown is, it's basically a better version of movie fights before that died down. So yeah, these guys, like, I would love to see kind of like MJF on a late night talk show. I would love to see, you know, like I said, MJF on a talk show. That sounds fucking cool. Like if they did a talk show, like what if MJF showed up on Conan O'Brien? That would have been fucking cool. But little things like that will help the business pick up and get bigger. John Moxley, he's a good actor. If you guys actually watch 12 Rounds, he's actually pretty good. Like How cool would it be to see John Moxley in some movies? Hell, I'm pretty sure they could work a deal where maybe one of them joins the DC universe, something cool that would have been amazing for like the views. Like, you can't just be a wrestler in this world. You have to, go and put out your word. It's gonna be annoying to see these guys constantly, but that's how people get over it. Look at John Cena. You know, he went from movie to movie. He's in Bumblebee. He's hosting SNL. He's best friends with Jimmy Fallon. Like, you want that. You're gonna want those connections because those are the things that are gonna help you out in the long run. Uh, Number four. Um, I want to see writers outside of the elite. Like, I know that the executives are Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, but I actually want to see somebody else take over. Um, I want to see some writers who have been in the business long enough to say, like, okay, you know, it's cool that they're doing this, but let's move it this way and do some things. They could use a Paul Heyman. They really could. Don't. I know they have Eric Bischoff. They could easily call him, but he's not a good writer. And don't call Jim Cornette and don't call Vince Russo. If anything, you know who I would recommend you to call? Call the writers of Lucha Underground. I mean, I'm pretty sure their contracts are gonna expire from WWE. But those guys are fucking great. I'm not saying do Lucha Underground again, but if you guys look at those guys' work, they know how to tell stories. They know how to write shows. They are brilliant. They were writing in WWE 2009 when I was barely becoming a wrestling fan. But I remember they were writing SmackDown, and SmackDown was my favorite show to watch in 2009. Like, honestly, it's better than now. SmackDown 2009 is one of my favorite eras in WWE. So get those guys. Like, those are the guys I recommend you to hire. Like, or I'm not even sure about this, but I don't know if Ryan Ward is signed with WWE still, but Ryan Ward is a fucking master. Like, he made SmackDown great again. No pun intended to MJF or the president. But SmackDown Live in 2006, like, Ryan Ward made James Ellsworth, AJ Styles, The Miz Reborn, freaking, like, he made AJ and Shane as cool as it possibly could. So Ryan Ward is your guy. Like, get Ryan Ward and the guys from Lucha Underground. People who are not gonna be biased and see what clicks and like who they want to see click. Not just wrestlers who are just like, oh, I'm friends with Scorpio Sky, so let's push him. Like, no, you want to push. You want to get people who are not gonna be super biased. And no offense to the elite, but they come off kind of biased sometimes. Number three, ready for this one? Number three, they need to stop taking shots at the other company, WWE. Like, when Miro came out, I said, oh shit, they got Rusev. And oddly enough, he's gonna be the best man for Kip Sapien's wedding. But what people talk about when it comes to Miro is that bitch ass promo of Miro going there so many times, getting that imaginary brass ring and this and that. And it's just like, shut the fuck up and be good. Like, I'm sorry, but do you believably, this is the honest truth, do you believably see Miro as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion? No, the fuck you don't. I could have seen Rusev as a WWE champion when Jinder Mahal won it instead, but I personally wish they did Rusev. I guarantee you, Rusev was the WWE champion and not Jinder Mahal. Oh, SmackDown would have been so much better in 2017. So, yeah, just stop taking shots at WWE because look at Cody Rhodes. Look at how fucking biased he's being. Like, he's the one who talks the most shit when it comes to WWE, and it's really pissing me off. Chris Jericho occasionally does it, but not to the level that these guys do. Like, that the young talents, like Arn Anderson, who got fired unprofessionally from WWE is super professional. I see him in interviews. He's not talking shit about WWE. JR is not talking shit. So these guys clearly know. And then hell, Brody Lee is a parody of Vince McMahon. If you guys didn't remember, so yeah, just stop taking shots at WWE. Be your own thing. Be the better man, or be the better company, I should say. Um, so there's that. Number two, it's kind of too high, but it's something that I really miss in professional wrestling. I want a GM figure running the show, or a type or types of characters that are just like kind of the promos and stuff like that. It would be cool to see. I honestly do not want to see Eric Bischoff run AEW Dynamite because people are gonna compare it to TNA and it's just gonna be super distracting. How about they get somebody new? Um, Obviously don't get. I was thinking this is gonna go back to Lucha Underground, but Dario Cueto was an unknown character and an unknown actor, believe it or not. The guy who played Dario Cueto is a legit actor from independent movies. If they got something like that, I guarantee you, like, start. I don't want them to rely on like um past general managers. I don't want them to get Kurt Angle, even though it would be awesome. Hell, Teddy Long would have been awesome as a GM of AEW. If you and especially if you're a big fan of tag team matches, player. Um, but how cool would it be to see somebody brand new, a new face, showing that this is gonna be a new era for AEW? But we could definitely use a GM running this show. Definitely do not get Vince Russo or Jim Cornette. I guarantee you these guys will fuck up the show. Jim Cornette wants nothing to do with this, and thankfully Vince Russo doesn't either. But the number one thing I want from AEW is to help make wrestling fun again. Or relevant. Fun and relevant. Let's go with that. Because you know how hard it was to be a wrestling fan in 2009? Oh, trust me, people picked on me. Like, thankfully, we used to wear uniforms, but at the time when we didn't there will be days where we didn't have to wear school uniforms, but when I didn't, I would wear like Jeff Hardy t-shirts, John Cena t-shirts, and I would get shit about it because people hated wrestling. It was so lame. It was pathetic. And you know the stereotype, oh, wrestling is fake. To those people, fuck you. Thanks for making my life fucking miserable. In middle school and elementary school, high school, I stopped talking about wrestling. And that was a problem because I love talking about wrestling. In college, no one gives a shit. You can do and say whatever the hell you want, just as long as you're being a professional. Um, but honest to God, I hated like it sucks being a wrestling fan. Like anybody who is watching this video right now has a story of just being ashamed of being a wrestling fan, and AEW is doing the best they can to make that stop happening. Like they're making it cool, they're making it badass. New Japan was fucking great. Like I remembered um my first year of college, people had Bullet Club T-shirts. People had Young Bucks T-shirts. I owned an AJ Styles T-shirt, so I was proud to wear an AJ Styles T-shirt. So even though it's not the right company, it's just showing you that wrestling is gonna be good, and hopefully we're all gonna be fucking adults about it. But I want you know to say I'm a wrestling fan. It's nice to say that you're a wrestling fan. Like you know, everybody who grew up in the Attitude Era will tell you that being a wrestling fan was the best thing ever, and people used to talk about that shit all the time. Now it's like it's a little scary. We're getting there because I still see people talking about AEW. People still talk about WWE. People still talk about a lot of stuff, but it'll be great to once again be happy to be a fan of professional wrestling. Matter of fact, a lot of people who are just getting back into wrestling, 9 times out of 10, their favorite wrestler is Kenny Omega. So they're clearly doing a great job about making sure that people love wrestling again. So please do the best you can, AEW. If you follow those rules, it will be nice to see the changes in AEW. So anyways, that will be it. It's me, the ALE Double X Prince. I gotta take a nap because I gotta get to work in 7 hours. So I'll just probably knock out. But anyways, me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out. Thank you for 100.